This is Muriro on Monday on Star FM. Muriro on Monday. Brace yourself. It's a hard hat area.
Star FM sounding good all the time. Good evening and thank you for making us your number one. Here's hoping you've had a pleasant Monday. I am Linda Muriro. It is 20 minutes before 7 o'clock, and as always, on a day and time as this, we discuss issues keeping us awake at night. Now, the Harare City Council in 2012 adopted an audacious goal to become a world-class city by 2025. We are approaching the final quarter of 2024, meaning 2025 is on the horizon. Now, how has the city fared in pursuit of the target? Tonight, I discuss with Harare Mayor Jacob Mafume as we take stock of the journey so far. Stay with us.
This is Muriro on Monday on Star FM. Muriro on Monday. Brace yourself. It's a hard hat area.
So we talk the city's vision. We talk of $1 million workshops at the expense of service delivery. And please do take part in this discussion via the usual platforms 0772162651. And later on, I will open the phone lines. Of course, this is the number that you can send your messages on our studio WhatsApp number. And after the news at 7 o'clock, I take calls. And I'm joined in studio by Harare One, Councillor Jacob Mafume, the Mayor of the city of Harare. Mayor Mafume, good evening and welcome to the show.
Always a pleasure.
And we're also joined in studio by Combined Harare Residents Association CRA Director Ruben Akili. Ruben, good evening and thank you for coming through.
Thank you so much.
Now, to begin with, Mayor Mafume, how would you describe the state of service delivery in your jurisdiction?
Yeah, the state of service delivery, more could be done. We must hold up our hands and state that we are not where we want to be. The residents do not feel we are where we ought to be, and there is dissatisfaction all around. We are looking at a situation where there are the major pain points. The major pain point, which was the key one, is 1, water supply. 2, refuse collection. 3, the state of the roads. 4, lighting and security of the people. 5, development control. In other words, the mushrooming of all types of businesses in areas where they ought not to be. The people who do not drink beer are unhappy with the proliferation of the beer drinkers. Those that do not worship excessively are unhappy with the proliferation of churches. And those who believe in order are unhappy with the mushrooming of illegal, in courts as they are called, settlements or unplanned settlements. The word illegal is a bit tricky, but probably unplanned and irregular settlements. And then when the rains come, the issue of drainage and so forth. So those are the major pain points for the residents, and they become a major sticking point for us as a city. So I would say that as we go into August, or as we've gone past August, which is 1 year after the last election, the pain points are still there for the residents to worry about.
You've spoken about the issues that residents worry about. What keeps you awake at night as the mayor of Harare?
What keeps me awake at night is the issues around the water supply. In as much as it is not adequate, but we have to maintain the production levels that we are doing. We produce about 300 megaliters per day. We have to keep the plant running. We have to keep it running with electricity, with chemicals. We have to keep whatever little we are giving has to flow, because there are catastrophic consequences in certain suburbs if you do not give water, because people there do not have safe options should it come to that. And that is it keeps me awake at night. And then also we are operating because of PRA's intransigence and so forth. We are operating without an efficient ERP, which is an enterprise resource package, which deals with our bills. And anyone who operates not knowing what type of revenue, it's like Econet operating without a system, or a bank operating without a software system. You can imagine the chaos. You go into your phone and it tells you no longer have airtime, or you no longer have your EcoCash, and our ERP is becoming increasingly a bone throwing exercise. People don't know the state of their bills, and they cannot interpret the bills from month to month. And it's a simple matter. We need to restore our ERP, have an efficient ERP, and then we can lay the groundwork of investing in service delivery. And of course, refuse collection is another thing that worries me. Our ability to live away from our waste is what differentiates us from other animals. And therefore, when we fail to do that, it is a huge indictment on the state of our civilization. And that should not happen. And that causes me sleepless nights, so to speak.
All right, it is 14 minutes before 7 o'clock, and I'm joined in studio by Harare Mayor Councillor Jacob Mafume as we talk about all things service delivery. And I can tell you that the phone lines are already buzzing, and if the messages coming through our WhatsApp platform are anything to go by, service delivery issues are indeed one of the issues that keep Zimbabweans awake at night. Now, Akili, in your view, how would you describe, or from a CRA perspective, the state of service delivery?
Thank you so much, Linda. Thank you so much, Your Worship. I think the Mayor of Harare acknowledged the key issues, which speaks again to what we have been experiencing as residents. So in our view, what has been happening over time is that we have seen service delivery, I would say, regressing. We at some point in time, you actually see that we would have refuse collected maybe probably once a month, but at the moment some areas no longer have refuse collection. At some point in time, we could have access to water in some high density suburbs and low density suburbs, and as we speak right now, some areas are no longer having services. I would say that we would have expected the local authority to prioritize, especially like what the mayor has said, the issue around water and the issues around waste management has become at the heart of the problem within our local authority area, because you actually see that these are some of the, I would say, the drivers of waterborne diseases, and we in year out, Harare has become also facing challenges around cholera outbreak. You actually see one thing probably which I would commend. The first one, it is the health, their health department. It has have that capacity to be able to cope with some of the health delivery challenges, like cholera, for example. It was contained, by the city health department. I think it has been run very, very well over time. You actually see that when you look in the local authority itself, the Department of Health has remained one of the key outstanding departments. But other departments, as Mayor said, look at the roads. We cannot talk of roads. We no longer have roads in Harare. You cannot see any road. But as I said before, service delivery has been deteriorating at a faster rate. I don't know, but we anticipated that at this level or this time we could have improved in terms of water supply. As I said, we could have improved in terms of refuse collection. But again, year in, year out, we still lamenting, as every time when I come here, Linda, when I started working at CRA, when I was in intern, we were grappling around the issues of, ERP. And until now, I've got more than 15 years working for this association. We're still talking of the same issues.
The mayor blames it on PRAS.
Yeah. So what is very, very important, I think, when we look at the price issue, it's another governance issues probably when we look at the legislation. We'll talk that later. But I think we need to go back, a little bit and say what led to where we are today. I remember at some point in time where we would go and pay bills, and then just in real time it could indicate that the bills have been paid. So I don't know whether it's sabotage or some people within the local authority itself or those who are running the local authority. To us as CRA, we have seen some of the problem, like the billing issue, is deliberate. It's deliberate to cause chaos so that some other people can start to loot council resources. It's deliberate that some other people create this confusion so that at the end of the day, some people can be able to escape accountability. It's a deliberate move, because you actually see that at some point in time. I remember going to a local district office making payment. You could do payment in Mfakose. It was run when you live in Borodo, and it could happen just like in real time. But that one was run only about 2-3 months, and then everything was down. Meaning that we there are some people who also contributed to that, and unfortunately, we still have such elements within the local authority, especially those who, it might be managers or it might be those technocrats, who sometimes cause confusion. Not only but for personal, I would say reasons. Some, they want promotions. So that, if I sabotage Linda, he will not be able to then, go forward. When you look at the water department itself, at some point in time, I remember we were told, this lady from Highlands was told that we're not going to get water until Kunji Dam was built. And she came to me in our office and said, we are now having water in Highlands. Is Kunji Dam operational? So meaning that we have some people, again, who lie, who give false reports, and at the end of the day, who also even misinform residents, because they don't want to work. So those are some of the challenges and this has also costed the residents in terms of disease outbreak, in terms of service provision.
All right, the mayor has given us the issues that keep him awake at night as Harare One. Now, Mayor Mafume, a probe by the Commission of Inquiry on the Harare City Council affairs revealed that your council spent US $11 million on workshops between January and July. You chastised officials who appeared before the commission of not having information on their fingertips, saying that only US $2.1 million was spent on workshops. Do you not think it's still too much a figure at the expense of service delivery, given the issues that you've outlined that even are keeping you, not just the residents, but even yourself, awake at night?
Yeah, we believe that even that much, it can be too much. But the context is that the councillors were increased from 46 to 59, together with the 14 from the proportional representation. Now, the increase of councillors, and then at the beginning of every electoral cycle, we hold what are called inductions. And these inductions, we are advised, are best held where we have no distractions at the beginning of the year. Every council in the country, it's not only the Council of Harare.
Advised by who?
By the technocrats. Every city in the country holds a workshop in another city in terms of the induction process. So I would understand that at the beginning of every 5 years, you will have a spike in the cost of the workshops because of that eventuality. You've got new councillors. In the case of Harare, only 14 councillors retained. The other difference to 59 were new. So there was that training. Harare is a big city. It has 11 committees. It has 10,000 employees. It has a budget bigger than most countries. We have a population bigger than 15 African countries. We have a population of 3 million. We've got 43 hospitals. We've got a fire brigade. We've got 1,800 policemen. We've got 13 maternity homes. We deliver 2,500 to 3,000 babies a month. We have the biggest mechanical plant outside South Africa, in Southern Africa, at Morton Jeffries, that is run by the city of Harare. We've got a housing stock of 11,000 houses. And our budget is huge. It is bigger than many countries' budget. In essence, Harare is a country within a country. So when our councillor, they are only second to parliamentarians in Harare and Mashonaland Central and Manicaland. Otherwise, all other MPs superintend on constituencies that have numbers that are less than what a councillor in Harare superintends over. So it is a huge, it's actually a metropolis. It's a province in itself. And therefore, there are certain things that will cost a bit more than other provinces. Yes, some of the workshops are not even the workshops that the councillors go to. Others are because of the various professional bodies that we have and that we are affiliated to. We are workshops that our employees have to go, mandatory training for their licenses, be they accountants, be they doctors, be they lawyers, be they engineers, be they architects, be they surveyors, be they financial managers, and so forth. And some of them are policies that we are required. If you look at the Auditor General's report, there is what they call IPSAS, that is public accounting. Every council was under the call to action issued by the president, must have instituted those policies. Then you look at the figures that the councillors get are regulated by the ministry. I get $10, 10 RTGS for a meal when I go out. And that was the last circular that is required. And I am only allowed to sleep in a hotel, which is the benefit for the councillor, and the fuel to go there. But the workers get, in terms of their collective bargaining agreement, and they make up the biggest number, get more than the councillor, who gets a 10 zig. I mean, a government sometimes forgets. They also believe that we don't deserve to eat a lot. We accept. I mean,
right. I'm going to have to cut you short there and allow Akili to come in before we get into the news to just respond to this, Akili. The mayor says the $2.1 million spending on workshops is justified. The council, the local authority, has about 10,000 employees with 45 new councillors that needed to be inducted.
59.
45 new councillors against 14 that retained their seats. What do you make of this, Akili?
Thank you so much. So you actually see that when you look at the figure of 2 point whatever million, it's too much. It cannot be justified, in as much as we appreciate that there is a need to then ensure that our councillors, even our technocrats, once in a while, they really need to then go such under trainings. But you actually see that when you calculate that money, last time when we did our calculations, one refuse truck was costing around between 350 to 400,000. And when you divide that with such an amount, you could get probably 2-3 refuse trucks, which are more of like, we can be able to do something out of it. So sometimes one of the challenges we have in across is that people who meet to solve problems, and they spend much more what they are going to resolve to. So what we would have envisaged, or what we would have appreciated, is that there should be less cost around planning for service delivery, but also service delivery itself get a big chunk of money. So you plan to or you go to a workshop on waste management, and you waste 300,000, whereas you could have just bought a refuse truck, and then you would have solved the problem. So some of the things, I think, or maybe I would say, when I was listening to the mayor, is that we expect because councillors have got a role in terms of one which is representative, but the other one is oversight. So again, because the councillors, through their committees, they play an oversight role. we could also feel that we have been let down, because they could also probably put recommendation to the technocrats that I think our expenditure on this, in as much it is a need, but at the moment the most critical and burning issues are the things which are making His Worship the Mayor Jacob Mafume keep him awake, like such as water, such as refuse collection.
All right, I'm going to have to hold you there as we take a news break.
This is Muriro on Monday on Star FM. Muriro on Monday. Brace yourself. It's a hard hat area.
Many thanks to Senzo Mpofu for giving us now Indaba. The news team is back at 8 o'clock with more news. And we continue with our discussion right here on Star FM. Thank you very much for making us your number one. I'm joined in studio by Harare Mayor Jacob Mafume, as well as a combined Harare Residents Association CRA Director Ruben Akili, as we talk about the state of service delivery. Do come through on 0772162651 and 0714414413. And as I indicated before the news, the phone lines are crazy, and I will be taking some calls. Now, Mayor Mafume, allegations have been leveled against you for reshuffling councillors, strategically positioning your perceived allies in positions where you have interests, namely finance, audit, human resources, business, and housing. What do you make of these allegations?
Well, it's nothing can be further from the truth. It is our Local Governance Act says that we should reshuffle our committees in August of every year, and that we are doing exactly that. The problem is that some people get used to the posts and they don't want to be reshuffled. There's no councillor that is bigger than the other. Every councillor must shuffle. We put new chairpersons and we get new competencies. We get CVs. If you leave the chairpersons or the committees, you create fiefdoms. You create corrupt relationships, because if somebody knows they are there for 5 years and they are not going to be moved, then the tendency is to then use that position to get gain. So reshuffling, we take each one's CV, we look at their performance over the year. Have they achieved? Have they done anything? Is there a flagship project? What did their CV say? What did they want to achieve? And it is put to the vote by all councillors. And they change and create other leaders of their committees. Once you allow it to be, even in cabinet ministers are being changed. The president is not putting his brains. He is trying to make sure that the economy and other work that the government has to do comes to fruition. For those that have performed well in their committees, yes, they will remain there. Those that have met a sufficient threshold of targets, we now have got a results-based management system in place. We need to change things around. We need to be able to say, okay, the water situation, are we on a sound footing? Refuse situation, finance situation, are we on the right track? What other competencies can we rotate and be able to move? Somebody is very good in this area, we move them to another area that they are better.
And how would you describe the relationship between the politicians and the technocrats, that is the elected officials, the councillors, and council management?
Well, it has been a difficult relationship at the present moment. As you know, we've got 4 acting directors and 4 permanent directors. And our town clerk was away for a long time because of arrests. And he, again, is away. We have had difficulties filling the posts. I've petitioned the local government board. I've petitioned the minister and the ministry that we need some certainty in our staff. We need permanence in our staff. Remember, a person who does not know whether they are permanent on the job sometimes behaves in a cannibalistic manner or behaves in a manner that is not far-sighted, but they will try because they don't know whether they will be there tomorrow.
And what has been the response or the feedback from central government over those concerns that you mentioned?
The feedback, they've nodded aggressively with what I'm saying, but the problem is the implementation on the ground. What we need is to have a town clerk, my own opinion, I've been in council for about 5 years now, going to 6 years. My own opinion is that we should have a lawyer as a town clerk or a seasoned administrator as a town clerk. We have been promoting engineers to those positions. With all due respect to engineers, very few of them are able to deal with the maze of legalities and administrative issues that are required in a post of a town clerk. I honestly think that we have missed the point there. We need a solid track person, maybe even, and then we need to create an operations officer, borrow from the army if it comes to that, brigadier general or somebody who is an engineer who comes in and lays the law. Otherwise, the chaos in Harare is about to overwhelm the administration.
And councillors have been accused of usurping responsibilities outside their mandate from council management, even over issues they are not qualified to handle. What is your response to this?
And we have got an oversight role. And if things are working, if water is in the taps, you will not hear from a councillor. If the roads are being done, you will not hear from the councillor and the residents. If, I went to China, I asked the lady, my protocol who was chaperoning me, and I asked her, where do you get the water? She said, from the tap. Where is it processed? She said, and she works for the City Council of Gonjo. And she said, look, Mayor, I don't know. I know that when I open the tap, water comes out. If things are working, there's no councillor who would want to know.
Yet these are the very same councillors that you accused of not having information on their fingertips as to how much is being spent on workshops.
Yes, it was the council workers. I'm befuddled at the lack of information at one's fingertips. If you are the town clerk, if you are the finance director, if you are the engineer for water, I would expect you to sing the information. Right now, when it comes to water, Lake Chivero is at 89%. It is at 97%. Lake Manyame is at 89% full, and this is in August, our driest months. And I ask them, why is our dams full at this time of the year? It means we are not giving people water. Manyame River becomes Panyame River in Mozambique. If it's at 89% in August, the rains come in October, it will fill up immediately and it will close floods in Panyame in Mozambique. Yet the residents here don't have water. And this exasperates me. We are talking about building Kunji Dam. Yet our dams that we are currently having have got 24 months supply of water. What is the issue? We are not abstracting the water in sufficient quantities.
Ruben Akili, what are the issues? And I will be taking calls after your response on 0772 162 651 0714414413. Your response to the issues that the mayor has raised, the relationship between councillors and council management and so on, the issue of some taking over the roles of others, the issue of some council workers being misinformed around issues that they're apparently seized with every day. What do you make of this, Akili?
Yeah, I think what we have also observed, there's been conflation between councillors and the technocrats. And sometimes when that relationship has not worked, then you see some technocrats also crying, about issues, because we have seen some decisions made, maybe probably initiated by certain individuals, and then at the end of the day, you actually see, a dubious, I would say, decision then being then endorsed, and then at the end of the day you wonder to say what's really happening, because remember when even Mayor Mafume said the councillors have got an oversight role, and I think what is very, very important, we need to understand that they need to be very, very solid when they play their oversight role. But again, you realize that at some point in time, even if you look over time, you would actually see that oversight role have been weakened due to various reasons. And some of the reasons, which I think people don't want to hear, is also even the lack of capacity of some councillors to deal with issues. So these are some of the things which the mayor is saying, to say probably you need a chairperson who can be able then to relate with the director of finance. And then you have got Akili, who is not even an accountant. And then when he relates or when she relates with the whatever, she or he is misinformed and make a decision which is not informed because he or she is not an accountant. So it's very, very important, Linda, that we understand that those are some of the challenges we have been facing, where you have got powerful technocrats who are very, very well educated, but you have got also our councillors, who have got the zeal to work, who want to do everything, represent people, do their oversight function. But because at some point in time they are lacking certain capacities to be able to deliver their mandate. Hence, maybe probably they will start to justify that we need a workshop, whatever. But I think what is very, very important here is to understand that these people at some point in time, Linda, they work together. In some of the things which happen. I think it's very, very important. The relationship, you actually see that the relationship becomes sour, especially around probably when I started my conversation, even among the technocrats themselves. I said this because it have also affected service delivery. In the water department, I told you, Linda, that at some point in time, you could actually see water improving. But at some point in time, some individuals, probably their back or some individuals started to do some things, probably just to incite, the public. But the water, probably the water is there. It's just a valve which just needs to be opened, and then people have water. So we really need to appreciate that some of the relationships, it might be the relations between the councillors and the relationship amongst the technocrats themselves. There has not been, cordial relationships within the local authority, both management and even the councillors themselves. So the group of councillors, we don't have cordial relationships. Among the technocrats, we don't have. Hence the whole chaos which have been impacting now on service provision. And this chaos now, it have got serious implications because we cannot be able to move. So we anticipate that, we really need harmony. I know we cannot be able to agree in many things, but we really need harmony among the technocrats and the elected officials, number one. Number two, we really also need to the technocrats themselves to be able to work together for the benefit of the city. But you actually see that at some point in time, you will not see that, because some people are pursuing personal agendas. Some people probably they are just fighting to claim positions. You might think probably this is happening for this reason, but the person maybe wants to be the director of finance and is impeding the issue around ERP, for an example. So we really need to be able to then appreciate that. But again, as you said, the relationship amongst councillors themselves, it's not good. The relationship amongst the staff at City of Harare themselves, it's not good. Hence, we are where we are.
All right, let's take some calls on 0772162651, 0714414413. I have in studio Harare Mayor Jacob Mafume, as well as Combined Harare Residents Association CRA Director Ruben Akili, as we talk about the state of service delivery. Star FM, good evening. Star FM, hello?
Yeah.
Hello, Star FM?
Hello. Yes, can you hear me?
Hi, yes, we can hear you now. How are you?
Okay. Here's my take on the issue of service delivery. I know the mayor is good at using big words for the law and saying all kind of things, but my reporting that is simple. If you look at the department, yes, city traffic, how efficient it is in arresting motorists, maybe my problems, them road and so forth. They are very efficient in arresting those people, and they are always available. But when it comes to service delivery, you are concerned about citizens and health event. About service, if they put the effort on motorists to service delivery, I can tell you, we will not be hearing these things about price and all sort of things. These guys, they are just there to do service. Take for instance, city traffic. Those guys are very efficient in doing business in town, around town. Going against one way, but some motorists was but he was the driver against one way. And the next thing after I end this call, the mayor will tell you, can you bring evidence? Put city traffic is somebody against one way, and you get to know it. That's what they say. But those things have been happening day in, day out. They break the laws while trying to enforce a law. But when it comes to service delivery, we still have a tape. The price is impeding. This is why happening. These guys are just there to take money. They are very efficient.
Thank you very much, my brother. I'm going to have to cut you short there so that I can take more callers. You've made your point, and rightfully so. We've heard you. Thank you very much. Star FM, good evening. Star FM, hello?
Hello.
Yes, are you through to Star FM?
Yes, Linda.
Makasimba ere.
Magadi.
Watinofara kana muchifarawo.
Handiziwe kuti city council ine vanhu vanomuka makuseni vari kuenda kubasa here.
Zvaita sei mukoma?
Because city council is dead. City council yakafa. Hapana zvauri kwanisa kuita city council.
Saka zvoitwa seiko? Zvogadziriswa sei mukoma?
Nyaya dzepolitics ndo dzatiuraya idzi. Because city council is under opposition ka ndosaka zviri kuita so.
Asi tichazotaura zvedu nezvazvo. Takaona meya mazuva apfuura vachienda kuChitepo School of Ideology. Saka ndofunga tiri kumafungidziro nemaonero atiri kuita kuti zvinhu zvinenge zviri kufamba zvakanaka tichatozoti vatipindurewo nyaya iyoyo. Saka muri kuti nyaya dzepolitics dzacho idzi dzogadziriswa sei?
Vanhu vari kuita corruption ndavasungika because vanokomplera nyaya corruption but city council ndio itori pamberi necorruption.
Saka mati zvogadziriswa sei?
Meno kuti vagatiswa ngavadzingwe.
Niko ivo meya vari muno
vese nemakanzira zacho iwavo.
Aiwa, tinotenda chaizvo. Tichazovapa mukana wekuti vapindure kuti vanofungei nenyaya yekudzingwa yemataura. Star FM. All right, so 0772162651 0714414413. Nyema D4D anzari achienda opposite direction. Energy atinoona vamwe tinenge tichatobatinedzirwo tichirohwa. No regard whatsoever for other road users. Asi energy yoyo toda kuiona sekutaura kwaita mutereri. Rekaiti mbonzwa vamwe vatereri. Star FM, hello?
Hello.
Hello, good evening. You're through to Star FM.
Oh, thank you. Ndine mubvunzo wandida kubvunzawo meya nevamwe vese vanenge vanoshanda mukanzuro. Tine plan here seHarare because zvinezvi ma-residential stands mahousehold ari kuincrease. Tine plan here yekuwedzerawo mvura yedu, handiti kuti mvura yedu iwande, uye tine plan here yerefuse collection since ma-residential areas ari kuwedzera because maonero angu ndeyekuti hatina kana chinhu. Hatina kana plan even since 1980. Hatina kana plan even yekuwedzera anything that we have so that zvinhu zvidu zvifambe zvakanaka. Thank you.
Tinotenda. Ndofunga tambonzwa meya vachitaura kuti nyaya dzamatobvunza dzewater refuse collection are some of the issues that keeps him awake at night as the mayor of Harare. But as you have rightfully asked, what is the plan? And we will be asking him that. Star FM.
Hello, Linda. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
Good. Mayor, I wanted to actually agree on some of the things that you actually said, but I'm worried about the inclusivity of persons with disabilities in terms of service delivery and also budgeting for services that involve persons with disabilities. If we look around town right now, there were some times during before the summit, babachifamba nekanzuru vachisiya mamenhos akavhurika. Even right now, summit yakapera, but mamenhos achakavhurika. Marobots, some of them they are no longer working. Acho manje. How do you think we can go forward to include the one with disabilities? And also even pane sezambotaura nemutereri pane nyaya Harare city traffic. Sometimes we don't want to go. We know right now almost 80 to 90% of persons with disabilities, they are vending, they are trying to make a little bit of ends meet along the streets, and then you see motor council pavement without considering there are some people who can't even walk, who is using a wheelchair. Do you even consider that when you are planning?
All right. Thank you very much. I'm going to take some more calls and then we'll allow the mayor to respond. He is taking note. We are taking note of the contributions as they come through. Star FM, good evening.
Good evening. How are you, Linda?
I'm well, thank you. How are you?
I'm doing great, thanks. All right. I just wanted to make my contribution when I'm mayor. Kuti vambotitirawo ka responsibility sine mutaura ambotaura before ataura nyaya yeparkinga vari kuenforsa malaws emunomu vari kutenderera vachimeka short vanhu vane mari vari kutora but panoda accountability mari iri kutorwa yeparking yacho iyoyo iri kutadza kubhara issues to do with water, specifically issues to do with water. And we are not seeing anything to
All right, sorry. So we have a bit of a challenge with our connectivity on this call. Tinengeta bata pamwe pacho parikuita break atanzwa mataura accountability pamari kutorwa ku parking aikwanze kuenda kumvura here asi tine dambudziko nenhare yedu asi zvatinenge tanzwa izvozvo ndichapa meya mukana kuti vapindure. Let me take another caller. Star FM.
Hello.
Yes, you're through to Star FM.
Toda kubvunza meya kuti pano booster masewage edu anditi on a Sunday or Saturday. They can't come and fix the problem there. But ukada kuona traffic, those guys who are no enforce traffic right. They work 24/7, including my Sundays and Saturday. Why are they not working kuti bvisira sewage kuti tisaite cholera? Mukatouya vanototi uisai mota hatina ngekini hatina mota yekuti tuye tukubatsirei asi on Sunday and everything vanotomeka sure kuti city of Harare yawana mota dzekudzingirira mota mutown. Is it about kuenforce law kana kuti kune mabenefits ekuwana mari? What are you prioritizing?
Tinotenda chaizvo pabvunzwa nditore vateereri 2 vekupedzesera pachikamu ichi chekutanga ichi tozodzoka kune vadare vangu vari mustudio. Star FM. Takasimba makasimbawo mapinda muchirongwa taurai zvenyu naMeya Mafume naRuben Akili.
Right. Panyaya yemarodzi anoenda kugeto. Marodzi ese anoenda notosamora kana achivharwa anovharwa netara asi anoenda south of Samora anovharwa nevhu. Vangatipindura here kuti zvinofamba sei because izviro rinongosvika fara robva ratokukurwa pasina nguva. Zvinombofamba sei marodzi edu anoenda kugeto hakuna marodzi ose asi anoenda the other side
ndofunga taita dambudziko zvekare asi kana ndavanzwa vati marodhi ekugeto anovharwa nevhu anoenda ku the other side of Samora anovharwa netara. Star FM, good evening. Star FM. All right, so those are the questions. Let me take this last caller. Star FM.
Hi Linda, how are you?
I'm well, thank you. How are you?
Ndirinani. Ndine mubvunzo I think miri kuna meya. Right, wekutanga I think it's on capacity yema councillors ari kusarudzwa. Hapana here imwe way yatinokwanisa kuwana yekusarudza nayo councillors isiri via political parties. And I was thinking kuti maybe vachiri muoffice kudai vanokwanisa kudevise another I mean a way yatinokwanisa kuwana yekuselectors councillors edu isiri based on political grounds, because we have seen kuti ma councillors anoelectwa via the political system yedu hasi competence. Then the other thing I wanted to ask the mayor had to do with vanhu vari kushanda mucouncil at the present moment kuti are they qualified to be doing majobs avari kuita? Kana kuri kumaroads tine vanhu vari qualified kuita izvozvo here kana kuti tiringori nevanhu is there any skills audit iri kuitika kuti tinge tiine vanhu vanoziva basa ravari kufanira kuita? Because kutaura chokwadi the council is out and hapana zviri kuitika kucouncil and it's very worrisome.
Aiwa, Tinotenda chaizvo. Thank you very much for those two questions. Mayor Mafume, Ruben, you've heard the questions as they came through. Pataurwa nyaya yekuti is there a plan on water? Yekutanga, I think the first call, yanga iri cry for help, despair, kumuna atopererwa, kuti apana, hanzi dai matongodzokera kumba. Maybe you should be recalled, Councillor Mafume. The second one was, is there a plan on refuse collection and water? Mambutaura nezvazvo, asi muteereri ndofunga ada kunzwa nyaya dzeaccountability. Then pane muteereri abvunza nyaya yekuti mari yekuparking, pane vakawanda zvekare vari kuuya vachibvunza kuti mari inotorwa yeparking iri kumboshandei, mungade kuti mutitaure ipapo. Then nyaya inclusion paissue pamunoita maplani zvirongwa zvenyu persons with disabilities, nevazobvunza nyaya yemaroad nenyaya dzecapacity yema-councillors skills audit. I would like Ruben Akili to respond to that one, but you could take the questions that came through, Councillor Mafume.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for the callers that have called in. We are honing down on the service delivery issues. I would start with the disability. I think that one we have noted. We are going to enforce the disability bylaws. We are going to enforce that all buildings that don't have access be made to have access, including our own. We are going to look and hold a meeting with the people from that sector so that we are able to deal with the concerns that they've ably put across. I don't think there is much to say in defense there. It's that we need to implement the national laws, the international protocols that we are party to, and that we will be calling on them to come through to Townhouse so that we tweak what needs to be tweaked and we make out the regulations that need to be made out, because that's a very key issue, the issue of inclusion. Everybody must feel at home in the city of Harare. The issues of water, like I said, we've got 89%, Manyame, it's full. We've got 97% of water in Lake Chivero. The plan is let's go back to basics. We have commissioned divers to go into the tunnel that takes water from Manyame to Lake Chivero. There are 4 engines that were placed there originally. The city council has purchased the 4 pumps that will draw water to Lake Chivero, and those 4 pumps will be installed. The divers should have started work today, if not tomorrow, and by the end of September at least one of the big pumps would be in, and then we will gradually put in the rest of the pumps, and then we'll have more water from Lake Manyame, which is cleaner than the water that is there in Lake Chivero, so we will get more water for the same amount of chemicals. We have worked with government to pay Chemplex. We paid $500,000 towards the summit, and we are hoping through the assistance of government to pay them $2.5 million to get rid of our debt. Beyond that, we'll then create an ecosystem that will allow us to get more chemicals so that we can put more water into our water taps. So that is the plan. But the issue is that let's not overcomplicate things as Zimbabweans. Let's go to basics. These cities were built by Form 2s, were built by people who did ZJC. And I always say this to my staff, that now we have people vari kutoita madegree ekuvirikidza, but mvura haiko kuvanhu, maroads haaviko kuvanhu, magetsi haiko. Pazvaimanejwa nema-ZJC izvi, nema-artisan, nema-foremen, road dzaigadzirwa, mvura yainda kuvanhu. So sometimes it is not the number of books that people have read, but it is us. Let's go back to the basics. What I need is water in my tap. I need whatever you have to carry, be it a tractor, be it a compactor, be it a lorry. Whatever it is, it must come and carry the rubbish. If we must use a tractor in certain areas, let's do so. If we use a compactor, let's do so. If we use a lorry, let's do so. Let's go back to basics, where we need to do what we need to do at the time we have to do it, so that we don't look and overcomplicate things which we used to do a long time ago. And also the qualifications of councillors. Yes, we had challenges, but what we need to do is to say, this is a metropolis. In other governance areas, they've created a system where they have ministers, so to speak, for the province or for the big cities. You have someone in charge of education who is an educator, someone in charge of water who is a water, someone who is in charge of health, in the various departments. And then the councillors, like parliamentarians, play an oversight role on that government. So you will have a mayor who is as competent as myself, the lawyer and conversant, and then they are allowed to appoint a management team, so to speak, as they do in South Africa, they do in other big cities. And then these management people are in charge of portfolios, so that they are then of the councillors then play an oversight role on both the technocrats and these management portfolios. And you will need to have an executive mayor. This is the only a capital city in Africa that is managed by a ceremonial mayor. It is not workable. Not that I want to be the executive mayor. If people want to select another person, they can do so. But I've been a lawyer for 20-something years. It is almost nigh impossible to run a city of this magnitude with a ceremonial mayor and without executive managers of portfolios. So those are some of the reforms that I have to juggle between my law firm and being a mayor. I have to earn money because as a mayor, I'm paid $90. I earn the same amount of money as the chairman of Mwenezi, where the only factory that is there is one that makes mukumbi from what you call it from Mafura Antitika. So we earn the same allowance, and I'm supposed to run and to superintend and to manage the city of Harare. It's a system that is designed to fail and almost negligent by the framers of our laws.
I will ask the Residents Association to respond to that. But before, ipane yataurwa yema traffic officers, Harare traffic is the most functional. Even pa WhatsApp vari kuchema. What is being done right? Department iroro that is being chirikutadzwa kumwe kweso.
Yeah, what we are going to do is, of course, there's a bit of rent-seeking behavior that is happening there, commonly known as corruption, that happens there, and that we need to produce or to use technology to be able to remove some of the harassment that the motorists are subjected to. We need to move with technology. There's no need to chase someone right with a combi, with a vehicle, and then you cause the death or injury of innocent bystanders just because someone has violated a traffic law. A traffic law at times is not at the same level as a murder case and so forth. So you cannot chase the person as if you are chasing someone under the most wanted list. We need to use technology. Fines need to come to the force. We need to catch you when you pay your bills or when you get to a toll gate. We then tell you violated this traffic and so forth. And we avoid this behavior that is harmful to the residents and traumatizes the residents.
That is all noble, your worship, but issue iripo tichiripapo yekuti maresources say achiwanikwa uku achishaikwa kumwe kwese pane muteerera fona akati mabest sewer pipes tikafona tinotonzi tsvagai mota asi ma-D4D ariko kuHarare traffic uku.
What we have to do is we also have to change the culture. We need to become a 24-hour city. We have colonial weekends. We believe we have to rest 2 days in a week and not work and just work for 5 days.
But there's selective application of even ma HR laws iwayo kuti uku ku traffic uku sei varisiri kuziva kuti vanofana kuzorora.
Uko kuchitwa rent seeking behavior. What we need is to make people work. Thankfully, we have agreed with the unions that we are going to make city of Harare a 24-hour city. In other words, we are now going to work shifts. We are not going to shut it down.
When is this going to be?
The collective bargaining, the tentative agreements have been signed with the trade unions, and we should be implementing it soon once we do the budget. And another important thing that I must alert the residents is that in terms of the law, we have started the budget process. there are budget consultations that are being done in their wards. Some of the things that they are talking about, they must contribute them to the meetings that we are holding in every ward, and the budget processes goes all the way to September. To the end of September, where we announce the budget. There are various consultations that happen in public, and we should raise the various issues that they are raising now into our budget.
All
issues
right.
of allocations of money, where it is used, how it is used, and how it should be used in terms of that. So I thought that is a very important issue that I must highlight on your show, Linda.
Mayor Mafume, it is 18 minutes before 8 o'clock, and you are tuned to Star FM. And in case you've just joined us, we are having a discussion with the mayor of Harare, Jacob Mafume, and we have in studio Combined Harare Residents Association, CRA Director Ruben Akili, and we also have been joined by Harare Residents Trust Director Precious Shumba as we discuss all things service delivery. I may not be able to get into all the messages that are coming through on WhatsApp in their hundreds, but I will try and take some more calls before the show ends. Ruben, your response to what the mayor has said in response to the issues that have been raised by the listeners.
Thank you so much. So I think what is very, very important, number one, in our view, because the issue of corruption has become, I would say, institutionalized corruption at the local authority. I understand that last year, the local authority came up with an anti-corruption policy. So it is very, very important that we operationalize that policy and ensure that we enforce, and ensure that we deal with corruption within the local authority. It's very, very important. So I'm just moving with probably recommendations also from what I've been listening. And then number two, when you look at the issue of water, which probably I'll try to get back a little bit. Currently, City of Harare has been getting water from Seke and Harava dams. And Prince Edward, where Waterworks has been producing around 70 to 80 megaliters of water per day. Unfortunately, there is no water in Seke and Harava dams. So City of Harare, I think 3 days or 4 days ago, decommissioned. Decommission means stopped purifying water from those. Meaning that now we have got an 80 megaliter deficit. So we anticipate that we are going to have a serious water crisis as we go, especially this water season. We have been also as CRA doing some surveys with the water table again, because people have tended to bore water as an alternative. It's gone even further down to those that who have got mabos as now they will tell you that there's no more water in there. So what would have anticipated is that before the decommissioning of the pre-PE waterworks, we need to have a contingent plan. Even long back, let's go to the basics, like what Mayor said, that we could have seen probably availability of water bowsers in communities. Right now, if you go in the periphery of Mfakose, if you go in periphery of, so when there's a guy who talked about planning, so we just do things without, planning. So everything happens by mistake. So we don't have real plans, and also even if the plans are there, they are not implemented. We have plans for the local authority. We have the parks. But in the parks again, people are building in go to Mavuku. The whole park is now under construction of houses.
Okay, Akili, who should be held accountable and responsible for all these misgivings?
Yeah, thank you so much, Linda. Remember when we started this conversation, and I said there can be conflation between the councillors and the technocrats. And I said one of the role of the councillors here is an oversight role. So you cannot expect probably a tabling of probably housing stands in a park, isn't it? And then when they are tabled, they go to the environment committee, for an example. So at the environment committee level, Linda, the councillors should refuse that we cannot be able to put houses in a park. Unfortunately, it happens because there's conflation. I think you understand where I'm coming from. So it's all those two within the framework of allowing such to happen, they are involved. And we really need to deal with that. That's the reason why I said we really need a functional anti-corruption policy. And then furthermore to that, the local authority has got plans, the local area plans which are there. They need to be adhered to. But they have been changed willy-nilly, every time. Citizens are also not involved in the changing, in as much as the law provides that residents need to be consulted, advertisements, etc. You actually see that some of the lanes which are then parceled to for residential, they are then probably regularized, or even the advice done in retrospect.
I remember attending a conference that I was, I think it was the National Anti-Corruption Indaba, and I happened to moderate one of the discussions which Precious Shumba was part of with the local authorities, and one of the issues that was raised, in response to mtemo, in compliance with the law, advertise ended law, mtemo watofulfiliwa kuti ngachibude mpepa asi chaiswa kupepa rekumasvingo risina ine vagari vemuharare and vanenge vachiti aiwa mutemo unoti zvinofana kuburitswa mpepa ende zvaitwa and these are some of the shortcomings. But bringing in Precious Shumba, who has just joined us, Harare Residents Trust Director, one of the issues that the mayor raised in the first half of the show, which you have passionately spoken about, and he has given his side, the issue of the city not having a proper billing system and what have you. Mayor is blaming the lack of a functional, effective ERP system. He has cast the blame on PRAS. Your response to that, Precious?
I think we have been without a billing system since 21 March 2019. Throughout that period, the residents expected the city of Harare to have put in place a mechanism to have a transparent billing system. They could have utilized their own company, City Parking, which has developed their own technology to bill motorists, isn't it? They could also have initiated a process in accordance with the law to ensure that from 2019 to date, they could have done something about the billing system. Residents have been complaining. Above that, the city of Harare should have gone back to Quiru Associates to say, Quiru Associates, you were running with the BIQ, with the city of Harare for the past maybe 12 years. They could have negotiated, because the reason they abandoned that system was a conflict between the town management, a few of the guys, and the technical people within the city of Harare who were unable to do bank reconciliations and producing a simple trial balance for the auditors. But here we are. We do not have a billing system. PRAS, as the national government, our call as Harare Residents Trust is that in terms of Section 264 of the Constitution, governmental powers should be devolved, including the responsibilities for fiscal, administrative, and political decision-making, so that local authorities, as semi-autonomous tiers of government, they could be making these fiscal decisions, administrative decisions, policy decisions, without waiting for national government agents to come in and determine how to conduct business in terms of procurement. PRAS at that level could simply make in place mechanisms and systems to ensure that local authorities across the country have a way of complying and they have a way of playing their oversight rather than them being the final arbiter. It is the same with the local government board in terms of recruitment of senior council personnel. You find that councils struggle to dismiss or to recruit senior managers because the national government has the final say. So I tend to agree that the involvement of PRAS at that level is also like stumbling block to effective procurement within local authorities. If they really want to manage that, they could come and build the capacities of local authorities such that the systems are transparent, are accountable, and are uniform throughout the country. Not what we are seeing, where some systems are meant to affect Harare and not Chitungwiza. And then you end up having a situation where everyone blames the next person.
Right. Thank you very much. Let me take some more calls. I think this is my last group of callers. Star FM, good evening. Star FM.
Linda Square.
Tasquera Masquera.
Ameno mera kuti mudhorobha mamera muanozvita parking. Havasi kuizi parking, havasi kuti kuhara traffic. But vanhu vanongonyuka ona akamira pabhei. Isedha anoisa chikreti chemadrinks kana chingoro chesimbi chiya. Especially kuna Leopold takawira kubatank shop. Unonzwa tsitsi uchiona mudzimai akudhiraivha kamota kake akutira kubhageni kuti awape $1 awane parking. Then after that the easy park wosvika vari kuda rimwe $1. Unozvamisika ona akutomhoresana netimbo retraffic iri akutozivana. Harare so.
All right. Phone yava nareyave at 0772162651, 0714414413. Those are the numbers that you can phone in on. We're about 7 minutes before the end of the show. Star FM, good evening.
Hello.
Hello. Yes. Are you through to Star FM?
I did a question. One employer. One way city park, and even on somebody struck a marshal flight. When I want to go for my workshop, my public relations. Because the way I don't go down the road, I'm going to go and my customers. They don't treat us as customers as well. Why don't you treat us in one emotion? Today, yes, my workshops and my programs. I want to end that through. Can I go employer? Then what was the right away?
Tinotenda tichazova pamukana wekupindura asi meya vabva vafara zvikuru nekuti munenge mabatsira kujustifya $2.1 million iri kuenda kumaworkshop. My last caller, okay, Star FM.
Hello.
Hello, yes, are you through to Star FM?
Good evening, how are you?
I'm well, thank you.
Just want to commend the city of Harare for lighting the streets very well. It's excellent job, well done.
Okay, one positive caller. Thank you very much for that. Positive. Ningirikini meva baba guzurira meno pange batenga caller. Star FM, hello. Star FM, hello. Star FM, good evening. Tiripo edu makadeo.
Vanoziva here kuti makanselors vanhu vavo kanzuro vanochaisa nguva imabasa. Tinoona vachigwa mara medu munogona kuona 10 o'clock vachisvipo vanhu vatochaisa kudhara. Vatopeka-peka vamwe vachitotogara maneighbors medu totoziva kuti yatochaisa atokumba. Time yavo yokuchaisa vanombonyatsoisiya vanochaisa nguva ivana.
All right, aiwa tinotenda chaizvo. Nekufona kwemaita, that was our last caller. I know so many calls, but we must have responses. But maybe before I ask the mayor to respond, both you, Ruben Akili, and Precious Shumba, to what extent should the mayor take responsibility of the issues and the poor service delivery that everyone is mourning about?
Okay, the mayor is the chief policy maker for the city of Harare. As such, in partnership with the accounting officer who is the town clerk, they are collectively responsible, they have full responsibility for the decisions and the actions of the city of Harare in terms of delivery. They make policies. The accounting officer implements through his team. When these things do not happen, the question comes squarely on the shoulders of the mayor. Ultimately, the people ask, what is the thinking of the mayor when there is no water? What is the thinking of the mayor when there is no refuse collection? So ultimately what we need, it's a collective responsibility, or even the residents have to play their part in terms of making reports and coming forward, making their contributions in terms of timeous payment of their rates and everything. But there has to be inclusive policy making. There has to be inclusive decision making.
All right, so because of our time, I'm going to cut you short. Ruben Akili, you'd like to respond. The mayor saying earlier on that he's a ceremonial mayor, so most of the things he would want to do, his hands are tied. Your response to that, to what extent should blame, accountability be placed on his shoulders?
Thank you so much. So in a normal system where the mayor, like from what he said, when he have got overall power, because some of the powers, they are taken by other bodies, and then at the end of the day we expect him also to be accountable on some of the things which are beyond his actions. So as a recommendation there, we really need to ensure that the mayor has got executive powers and become accountable, fully responsible. But again, we are not exonerating him from other decisions which are made within the local authority area. But for him to be able then to execute his mandate and also to be able then to be held accountable on these issues, he really needs that power, because now he cannot be able to hire and fire. But at the end of the day, we expect him also to deliver.
All right. And Mayor, before you respond, a question that I promised I would ask. As the mayor of the city of Harare, you serve, obviously, the interests of all residents, even though you are elected on a Citizens Coalition for Change ticket. Recently, you attended the Chitepo School of Ideology training workshop, something that the opposition and yourself has vehemently opposed in the past. What was the rationale behind attending the ideological training school, given that it's a brainchild of the ruling ZANU-PF party?
Well, it's simple as this. When an event is being held in your city and you are the city father, I have around 12 councillors that are ZANU-PF in my council, and I need to also go to their events, understand the framework, where they are coming from, what is their policy inputs, how do they think, what is the framework and their ideological thrust, where are the similarities and where are the differences. We went there. A lot of things were said by the trainers, and many of the things are things that one would not disagree with. And also Herbert Wiltshire, Pumaindini Chitepo, was a lawyer like me. He was the first barrister, black barrister in Southern Africa, and the first prosecutor general of Tanganyika in Tanzania, and he was the second lawyer after Prince Kumalo, who was the son of Lobenkula. So we as lawyers, you would want also to appreciate that I have an appreciation of Herbert Chitepo's contribution.
And how will this impact your service as a
now? I've understood the framework that they are coming from. I've understood where some of their deployees are getting lost. So we'll correct them and say this is not what your ideological framework is saying. We will also be invited to a lot of things. If a Christian organization invites me, I go. If an Islamic organization invites me, I will go. If a different party invites me, I will go. We are trying to run the city. Let's try to run the city on a non-partisan basis and focus. A road does not ask for a political card. Sewage does not smell bad to a ZANU-PF person and it smells nice to a CCC person. Sewage smells as bad to everyone else. Water tastes as good or as bad to everyone else. And so
thank you very much.
Yes,
I think you've made the point.
We must be clear that there is no harm in listening to others and sharing ideas. We meet in Parliament, we meet everywhere.
All right. In 15 seconds, Precious Shumba, what needs to be done to improve service delivery in Harare?
Let's read the Council of the Corrupt Managers.
Akili, what needs to be done? How do we make Harare the sunshine city and a world-class city by next year?
We need accountable leaders. We also need to prioritize service delivery first.
And Mayor Mafume, your parting shots.
Well, the issue of parks, anyone who is building in a park, I think I need to address that. Anyone who is building in a park, please stop. Anyone who's building in an area where they ought not to build, please stop. The long arm of the law is going to catch you. Make sure that whatever you are doing is regularized. We do not want tears in future. We do not accept, nor will we condone illegalities in common areas for common use, schools, clinics, parks, and so forth.
From a council perspective, how do we make Harare work? How do we achieve a world-class city by 2025 or by 2030 as we aspire to have Zimbabwe an upper middle income economy?
Let's go to the basics, Linda. Let's do what needs to be done. Let's not overcomplicate things. Remove litter when it's supposed to be removed. Bring water when it's supposed to come. Repair a road when you are supposed to do it. Back to basics. That's the key word.
Harare Mayor Jacob Mafume, thank you very much for coming to the show.
You are a sight for sore eyes always.
And he was here with Precious Chumba from the Harare Residents Trust and Ruben Akili from the Combined Harare Residents Association. I am Linda Muriro, and many thanks to my producer, Norman Muchema. Until next time, it is goodbye for now.
Thank you.
You've been listening to Muriro on Monday. Join us again next time on Star FM.